Wargaming. Game, survive, win.
What is up YouTube, and welcome back to another tutorial on Oxygen Not Included. Now this one is a bit of a invention of my own, trying anyway. On the map you can see I've got a very basic setup. I'm kind of in creative mode, so it's irrelevant, but just to clear up, as you can see the whole map is totally empty. And the idea of this tutorial is to go through them tab by tab. So as you can see, the base tab, everything is unlocked of course, and I'll go through everything on this tab, a bit of a description on it, and then if there's any questions on any specific items they can be put into this video. Obviously the next video will then be the oxygen page, and the next video the power, and so on all the way through until full radiation. Bit different to what is normally done. I'm hoping that you want to see this. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you do or don't, and we'll go from there. So you can see there's a lot of the life support dev stuff in here. The electricity is infinite, the water is infinite, etc, etc. But where we start is at the beginning, and the beginning is of course I'll make it in play mode, it doesn't need to be fast. So the very first thing you'll see, and again remember this is based on full completion of the research, so you won't have these at the start of the game, but the idea here is not basically how to start the game, because there's loads of them and I can do them separately anyway. I just wanted to do a bit of a tutorial, so if you're not sure about what things maybe are for, at least hopefully this will explain it. So ladder made from standard stuff. Obviously this is made out of wood, but you can make it out of most of the rocks in the game, as you can see. The standard practice, nothing, you don't need to process anything, it is just the standard ladder. There is the fire pole, which is made out of ores, metal ores usually, and then plastic ladder, which is of course made out of plastic. The difference being run speed is 20%. Now ladders for going up, the pole for going down, you don't want to go up on a pole. You can, but it's crap slow. And of course it doesn't matter how fast the ladder is, because going down on said ladder is equally as quick. Now what I'm going to do, over on the right hand side here, you can see that we have a pair of ladders. So I'm going to get random Harold, and if I believe, yes, teleport him up there. Should anyway, and teleport him there. Harold is being naughty, so let's find another one. And you move there. They can't breathe at the minute, but it's fine. It won't affect them. So we'll tell Turner to move to the top of the wooden ladder. And again, it's a wooden ladder regardless if you make it out of stone. The stats are the same. The only different stats that change are, of course, the actual melting temperature regulations. So they should both now go up the ladder. And as you can see, there is clearly a difference in speed with Joshua outperforming Turner. It's not massive, but now, in the same principle, there's not a huge, it's 20%, so of course, you would expect it to be a bit more than what I just saw, but it is what it is. And that's why I'm doing it, to visually show you. So now I'm going to tell them both to come down. And of course, the fastest way down is a pole. The faster ladder is no comparison to the fireman pole. So if we do that, and there you go. So yeah, in terms of the ladders, obviously the plastic ladder is better, but for the cost, actually, is it a lot better? That is something you'll have to figure out for yourselves. There is a mod that gives you a steel ladder, which is quite impressive. It says 50%, but to be honest, it feels like 100%. I think it's 50% probably more than the plastic ladder. So from there, we move over to a wooden tile. The wooden tiles have been added with the new freeze pack, the Frozen Planet pack. They are to give you something to build in the ice biome. The ice biome being cold, snow, ice. The only option is to get wood. Wood from the fox-looking things, the deer-looking animals. And you can make them out of that. Now, wood tiles are actually a good insulator as well. As you can see, they are an insulator. So however you use them, obviously using them in the core biome is good for an installation, but if you use them outside of that, so on a normal map like this one as an example, they are good insulators. Strangely, they don't burn like fire like you would expect them to, so there. Standard tiles here, these are the ones you will start the game with and the ones that you'll probably use the most. These are just used for floors, walls, and anything you like to room off something. Of course, making a room is significant for morale, so using these is what you would do. And also sandstone, igneous rock, granite, sedimentary rock, them sort of things that you get ample of, so you've always got plenty. So then we move over to the air tile, and of course the air tile allows gases to pass through but not liquids, and the mesh tile is similar but different, and it is gases and liquids, but the predominant reason here is to allow liquids through, but it's still a floor, so you can use that as a bridge, and any liquids that fall through will go straight through that and underneath, but the duplicants can of course process in between. Next over are some of the other blocks you can use. There is the insulated tiles and the metal tiles, carpeted tiles and plastic tiles. Now, of course, with these, the insulated tiles and I say the metal tiles have the same use but are opposites. And to prove that, what we can do is if I ask for some magma, molten magma, fill these with a proper amount, and as you saw there, that's what happens. So what's actually happened there is the liquid is very hot, as it is magma, and of course the insulation pipe, the insulation tiles, sorry, are still 20 degrees, right? They're not changing because they are insulators, and they of course are causing the temperature to be insulated. So this degrees in here, that is 4,000 degrees rock gas currently. The walls are 24, and outside of that would be 24 as well. The metal is the opposite. The metal takes the heat as fast as it possibly can, and of course in doing so, melts it, which is what's happened. So if you're wanting to insulate something like a room that gets hot, for example a power station, you would surround it by insulated tiles. Then inside the room where the power station is, or anything else that you're doing, whether it be steam room or of course there's the geothermal power and stuff, it would stay within that room. If you wanted to transfer heat from something to something else, you would use the metal tiles, and that's what this demonstration was for. Now we're going to move over to these ones, but of course I need to just quickly go back and reset the screen because that mess is no good. And here we are, back in a nice clean environment. So yeah, the metal tiles will transfer heat very quickly, and the insulation tiles will do the exact opposite. Reduce heat transfer. The carpeted tiles, they just need reed fiber, which at the beginning, of course, you're not going to have the research anyway, so I won't worry, but they need reed fiber, and then the actual material that you're going to use. Effectively, they are supposed to be used as floors for your duplicants to keep them happy. They give them the comfy feet morale tag, which just makes them happier. Plastic tiles are used for the same purpose, I would say, but of course they don't increase the morale, but they do increase the run speed. So you can see 50% run speed, and for the carpet is that negative 25? I think it is, right? Yeah, so the carpet slows them down quite drastically, but gives them a massive decor boost and a morale boost, and the plastic tiles increase them significantly, and a small decor boost there, but it doesn't give them any morale bonuses. Metal tiles as well actually coming in there with 50%, but of course they and a higher decor, and of course you could boost that by going gold, right? Because gold then increases decor by 50%, so you could have a solid gold floor. The problem with that is temperature wise, keeping the temperatures would be very difficult, and you're not going to get that morale boost from the comfy feet. Now there is the mini pod. I don't believe I included that because we already know what that is. The mini pod is just the printer that you start the game with, of course. I think it's been deleted off this map, right? It has. So it should actually let me put it down. It will. So you start with this anyway, as you know, and this is just one that you need to put on new planets or asteroids. And as soon as you do that, you then start producing duplicates or resources on a cycle from that as well. Now, of course, back to the first tab, which is the base tab. We're now moving over to this. Now, this setup, the mission control thing, ignore that in the presence that it is here. It's just as a demonstration, because the final tile is the diamond tile, the window tile. Now, the window tile is meant to be used for roofs, but specifically, it's good for things that need to have line of sight to space. For example, mission control or satellites and concealed satellites. Though concealed satellite, you don't need to have it encased, but the normal satellite you would. So as you can see here, the normal walls and then a glass roof and line of sight is still allowed. Of course, it's blocked by all the rest of this crap, but nevertheless, it is present. And if you do that, what I mean is, you can see the line of sight needs to go off into this area here. Why you'd build one down here, I don't know, but it's an option. Next in the list is storage tiles. Now, these are new, and I've never used them. I am not going to pretend that I have, but they are exactly what they say on the tin. They are storage tiles that give you 1,000 kilos of storage for whatever you like, and they also act as a wall, floor, or ceiling. The 1,000 can be edited by mods, but by default, which we're looking at, they are indeed 1,000. I'm not convinced. I think they do cover everything. As far as I'm aware, there's no restrictions. Of course, you will find that they're not everything's showing here, but I haven't unlocked everything. It only shows up when you can see it, right? So, bit of storage there. In terms of cost, they are... Apparently they need glass, which is terrible, in my opinion. So they need refined metal and glass. So they are very expensive for what they are. But whether you have them squirreled in a rocket or in someone's bedroom to keep outfits in or something, it's entirely up to you. The next option, again, is the bunker tile. Now, these are segregated. Yes, so bunker door and the bunker tile. These are for your protection. The whole purpose of these, although they are very expensive, is to withstand extreme pressures and impacts. And impacts meaning meteors, because everything else will be destroyed by them. So you use this really on the surface. Building them requires a lot of steel. As you can see, 100 steel per tile. And overheat temperature of 200 degrees, which is quite significant. Used for bunker shelters. This is really what I use for the top of the map to encase rockets and protect anything on the surface from meteors mainly. The bunker doors, of course, is the ability to have, so when you launch a rocket, you can open it. And of course, that can be automated. It's not something that we're going to go into too much detail now. I'm paused, aren't I? Yep. But it is an option that you can do, and of course you can see there with a simple automation you can open the door and then duplicates, rockets, etc. will be able to pass through that. Doors now, and everybody knows the favourite pneumatic door. Remembering that the pneumatic door is nice, simple and cheap, but it has holes in it. It's just a crap fancy door, so it will let gases pass through. That's all it is. It's a door. Now you will need doors in order to make a room count. So if you actually look over here, and we switch on the room overlay, you can see there are none technically in play. To do so, you need to segregate them by a room. Now, I'm not actually sure. You can see a washroom, no industrial machines. It's because of these. But you need a door to segregate off a room to make it so it falls into the remit of these room overlays. Now, a tip that I like to use is you put the door in and then you can keep it open. So it stays permanently open, so it doesn't restrict or slow down anyone at all, but it still counts as a door and a room. Manual airlock is exactly what it says on the tin. It is an airlock that can be used to segregate rooms and gases from each other, as well as temperatures, but the temperatures are only dependent on what material you build it out of, right? So if you build it out of something like copper ore, it wouldn't be that good with materials. But if you build it out of the wolframite or things like that, it would be. They're obviously all the way up to thorium that realistically you don't see very often, because that's a real hard end game material to make. Niobium is decent, but still quite difficult to get as well. And then the mechanized airlock is exactly the same, but it requires power. And how much is 120 watts of power, and it will of course then open for them. It's also a lot faster. The manual airlock is very slow. The mechanized airlock is very fast if it's powered. If it's not powered, it's slower than the manual airlock, FYI. So don't think building that and not powering it's a better option. It isn't. Also, cost-wise, it's the same. 400, 200. So same materials, but twice the cost. Next on the list is the storage bin. Now, the storage bin itself will be available from the beginning, and you will need a lot of these. I actually have the skin as well. One of the skins unlocked, which is quite cool. And then you've got the smart bins. Now, the difference between the two is this. The smart bin gives off a signal into the automation system when it has reached a certain threshold. And by that, if you hover over the actual port, it will tell you. So it sends a green signal when full. Otherwise, it's red. And then the storage bin over here, it's just a normal storage bin. They both hold exactly the same, 20 tons or 20,000 kilos. We've got a set up here, actually, what we've got. Infinite amount of dirt I've managed to chuck on the floor. So if I say to fill some dirt, it doesn't matter. I can just write it out. If I can find my keyboard, there we go. Dirty. And you can see then that this dirt is going to be passed into that. And the bar will fill up. Speed it up a little bit. But the bar will fill up on here, and then it will stop, and nothing more, it will be full. Now this one, the same. If we actually go for dirt as well, and that is not how you spell dirt, obviously. Can't see my keyboard because the microphone's in the way. I do the same here. And what I'll do, I'll let that one finish. So let's turn that up to 8. There we go. So you can see now this again, don't worry about it. We'll get to this and how they work in the future. I'm just doing this because I don't want duplicates up here and loads of warnings about them dying. So I'm just automating it. To be honest, this is faster than duplicates anyway. So you can see this is now filled up. Full of dirt, 20 tons of dirt, simple as. Now watch this, pay attention. You can see there, boom. So this now, the smart storage bin, has hit the full mark, 20 tons, has activated that port, which has activated this pixel pack, and this was just to demonstrate it. So I can see now that this is full. You can make it do many, many things, like turn on other things, activate things, drop things. We will get to that when we get to the automation tab in the future. If you want to see things like that, then please do subscribe, and you will see it in the future. Next is the liquid reservoir. Now the liquid reservoir is, as it says on the tin, it's for storing liquids, and it stores 5,000 kilograms, so 5 tons of liquid, or 5,000 litres, you could argue, to a point, depending on the liquid. Again, pumping out, and there's a short video I've done actually where I pump in. You always know white is always in, and green is always out, and that works with everything. And if we swiftly move over to the gas chamber, gas canister holds gases up to 1,000 kilograms of gas. In is white, out is green. Now you will find when you set these up that you should need to have an outlet plumbed in as well. It doesn't have to be working outlet, but you will need a pipe there in order to do so. Now the automatic dispenser is effectively, it is a storage to a point. It holds 20 tons, the same as the storage vessels, but its purpose is to do the opposite and actually put things down. So if we go onto automation and hover over here, you can see that a green signal dumps stored materials and a red signal does nothing. So if you was to put something like, let's say, just everything, you can see now that this is indeed storing, just like the storage vessel. Now, of course, what's actually happening? Red store. Oh, yeah. So let me just quickly automate that. That's what I meant to do. So this is getting a red signal now. And as it's got a red signal, it's going to just store. But as soon as that red signal is removed and it gets a green signal, and by green signal, having no signal counts as green, just for the record, you can see it's then dispensing. And you can connect this to something like this and have it so it keeps. Now, what I actually use this for is if you have a product or a machine that is doing a task, you can use a sweeper to pick it up and feed it. And you can use this to keep something on the ground all the time, especially if you have like animals or critters as they're called that are feeding. So what I'm going to do is do that, and that should shut it up and shut it off. So the final thing is actually the transit tube. Now these are great fun, but setting them up is a bit weird. So you set up the transit tube and it requires a crap ton of power. I'm going to 1,000 watts per machine, and this is a transit tube so that the duplicates can get into this system. Now they can get out at any point as long as the pipe is 2 blocks from a floor. A ladder works, a fire pole works, etc. But it has to be 2 blocks. But to go through a solid object like this, you need to use a transit cross tube. So as an example, if I remove that and put that here, and then try and just take this over, you can see it's not going to work. It looks like it works, but it doesn't. You must put in the crossover. And what this will do is it will cause these to be separate areas. So for gases and stuff, it will keep them separate. Now, unfortunately, the transit crossing plastic tube, and that's the only one, the only thing you can make is plastic, plastium, which is endgame, and then solid viscous. I don't even know how to get that, but the plastium, which is overheat temperature of 900 degrees. What I'm getting at here is that it's very hard to get to, and if you're using this in rooms that have massive temperature differentials, it will cause you issues. Luckily, plastic is a slow in terms of temperature, and it is technically an insulator, but it's not great, so be warned. And that is how they get from A to B. You would put multiples of these around all over the place so that the guys can get back in. Because remember, imagine this is 1,000 blocks long and the duplicate gets dropped off here. They would be trapped because they can't go back into the pipe and go back that way. There's no way of them getting over this wall, so they would be trapped forever. So you would need to make sure to have one of these in the system like so. Alternatively, you could say put it yes there, that's fine, and do that. And now what would happen is if they get dropped here, when they're done and they need to get back here or here, they would have to walk all the way to this one and go like so. Lastly, remember that if they're not powered, they won't work. So that's quite significant. You can see this one's not powered, that bar's not full there, and then over here this one is. Once they're powered though, it's a limitation to how they work. But that is it for tab 1, the base. So we have the ladders, the poles, the floor tiles, and the like for walls, ceilings, insulation, and actual heating. Bunkers, doors, storage, whether it be standard, automated, or drop-in, liquids and gases, and then the transit tube. So that's it for this video. I hope you like it. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, please click like. Subscribe if you want to see the rest of the tabs. I am going to go through all of them to the end. Is the plan, as long as you guys want that. If there's anything that I've missed or you want adding to the next ones, please let me know. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.